Hello and welcome. My name is Andrew Lusenhop, and I'm the Regional Sales Manager for In-Situ, covering our Midwest and Great Lakes region. Excited to present today. The project we'll be presenting on consists of two different technologies, our water monitoring equipment and BiOceanOr's predictive algorithm technology. So after some background information, I'll be turning it over to Charlotte DuPont, BiOceanOr's GM and co-founder. So just a quick background. In-Situ is a privately held organization and was founded in 1976, currently headquartered in Fort Collins, Colorado. We are a leading designer and manufacturer of water monitoring instrumentation, software, and telemetry, with primary focuses on water level, water quality, aquaculture, and process-related end markets and applications. Just over a year ago, we were introduced to Cleveland Water Alliance in their testbed program, allowing equipment manufacturers to showcase new technologies, provide a means for doing internal equipment evaluations, and explore ways to bring innovative technologies to the marketplace. Through our partnership with Cleveland Water Alliance, I was personally connected to BiOceanOr and introduced to their predictive algorithm for water quality events. As it turned out, In-Situ was having great success with them already overseas, and we were using them for the predictive algorithm for dissolved oxygen events. Knowing how prevalent harmful algal blooms are, and especially within the region I work in, we decided to explore integrating the tools we've had great success with for HAB monitoring with BiOceanOr's technology to ultimately bring another early detection solution for HABs to the marketplace. Before turning it over to BiOceanOr, I wanted to quickly touch on the location of the install and the hardware we put out there. The equipment was deployed at the Toledo Water Intake Crib in Lake Erie. The picture on the far right-hand side of the slide is a snapshot of the water we were monitoring. And as you can notice, there's a bloom that stretches as far as the eye can see. And this happens to be a problem location every year. So knowing this, we knew we could capture a bloom from start to finish. And the system itself consisted of our ViewLink telemetry unit connected to two of our AquaTrol 600 multi-parameter sondes, all housed inside one of our smaller footprint observation buoy systems, as you can see pictured here. The sensors we used were temperature conductivity, pH ORP, dissolved oxygen, turbidity, nitrates, chlorophyll A, blue-green algae phycocyanin, and FDOM. All the data was telemetered to our HydroView data hosting platform, where it was then pulled by BiOceanOr using our public API so they could utilize the data accordingly. So here are just a few pictures from about 2 months into the deployment. The sensors in our sondes interlock and are all set at the same plane, which really helps keep them clean. So we're pleased to see there were no major issues there. Over the course of the 4-month deployment, we were able to get out to maintenance the equipment just once, which ended up working out just fine. However, we typically like to do cal checks and cleaning maybe a couple times over that length of a deployment. All right, so ViewLink telemetry allowed us to integrate multiple sondes into one telemetry unit and get logs set up and data transmitting as quickly as possible. Once we had everything set up, it was a matter of dropping the buoy into the water and letting the system start doing its thing. From In-Situ's perspective, we were really pleased with the setup process. And once everything was in the water and working correctly, we really turned it over to BiOceanOr to start gathering the data from our data hosting platform and beginning the phase of building the algorithm. So with that being said, I'll turn things over to Charlotte to present on what we were able to do with the data and where we go from here.
Thank you, Andrew, and thanks for the introduction on In-Situ background. So now, as co-founder and CTO of BiOceanOr, let me introduce you what we do at BiOceanOr. So BiOceanOr is a French company founded in 2018 and dedicated to water quality analysis and forecast. We give to our customer data-driven decision support so they can take better action. So how does it work concretely? Basically, we collect the data from the users. So we prefer to have good quality, good quantity, and good diversity. We use then our unique combination of expertise made of artificial intelligence and biology to provide forecast and advice. Our customers, so mostly aquaculture managers and water treatment plants, can rely on this ultra-specific advice and forecast to operate more efficiently, and then they can save cost and time. We work on water quality forecast and especially dissolved oxygen forecast, and we also work on HAB forecast. So this is a concrete example of one of BiOceanOr's success case in predicting and anticipating water quality. In the south of France, on a lagoon close to the Mediterranean Sea, so it's called Étang de Thau, we have gathered data for 18 months at 10 different points and 2 sides, like surface and bottom of the water. We have been following different parameters: temperature, dissolved oxygen, salinity, pH, and turbidity. We also have been gathering all the weather conditions, like marine data, local precipitation, cloud cover, currents, etc. And on top of that, we have been gathering the satellite images of the lagoon and deduced the chlorophyll level in the water based on the color of the water. In the end, we have delivered to oyster farmers, local policymakers, scientific institutes, water agency, some alert bulletins for low oxygen and HAB events. So we were able to predict oxygen correctly 40 hours in advance with 96% accuracy, and for the HAB, 60% accuracy. And we believe it's still a first good result. Of course, this still needs to be improved with time, but we're confident that the service we provide already is very useful to the local economy. So now about this test bed at Lake Erie. So it was set in the western Lake Erie during the 2022 summer with the In-Situ probes and buoys. So Andrew talked about this, and the BiOceanOr analytics capacity on top of that. The objective of this test bed was to test the capacities of BiOceanOr algorithm for the HAB detection in this specific case, test the capacity of In-Situ probes for the HAB monitoring in this specific case, and understand the biological specificities of the western lake area. Of course, we wanted also to confirm the capacities to work together and provide together HAB detection and anticipation in the end. So the first step in the construction of an algorithm for the HAB prediction is to annotate the data. This is a very important step. That means that we need to know for every data that we gather if there is a bloom condition or no bloom condition. It really helps the AI process to understand what was the difference between the two conditions and then create a pattern for the anticipation of a bloom. This is called supervised machine learning. So during the summer 2022, we had basically 3 periods. So until mid-July, there was no bloom detected in the area of the buoy. From mid-July to mid-September, there was a continuous bloom of high intensity and very small variation. And from mid-September, the bloom was slowing down with ups and downs. So first, this was very unexpected for us because based on our previous experience in other places, we had only one big bloom event of 2 months, and it really complicated the whole process. For AI process, it is better to have a lot of different events to increase the reliability of the model and to avoid what we call overfitting issues. So it is also the reason why we couldn't test our predictive algorithm on this data. It was a permanent bloom during 2 months, and it was really difficult to try to predict something, and we believe it has no sense for this time. But we did some things. So first, let's take a look at some of the data we gathered. So here you can see the whole summer data, and the red period, it's the high intensity bloom. So another surprise was that no anoxia was detected during the whole summer. with such a massive bloom, there should be some intense oxygen consumption at night and critical oxygen level in the morning, at least. But we only saw very big and sudden oxygen increase at the opposite during the day, sometimes even up to 200%, but it never gets under 90% on average. So this probe was at the surface of the lake, and we believe that maybe we should look at the whole water column to understand exactly the oxygen dynamic here. In our previous experience, we often saw anoxia coming from the bottom, especially if it is a shallow water body. So we gathered also chlorophyll and phycocyanin data. And at first look, we don't see major difference between bloom and non-bloom periods. Phycocyanin is even constantly increasing and reaching a plateau at the end of the bloom. We'll see later on that there is more to say about chlorophyll after a deeper analysis. Water temperature, of course, was high during the bloom period. That's not a surprise. As we know already, it is a risk increasing factor, but always good to confirm. So now we applied our dissolved oxygen algorithm to Lake Erie data. So you can see two different time periods on the left and on the right. One on the left gave 13% error, and on the right you can see around 2% error. Generally, it's close to 2%, are close to what we have because we have to be under 4% error. So why this 13% on the first period data? This is because of the sudden oxygen increase at 200% that we see several times. Our algorithm never saw that in previous data at other deployments. So maybe it is specific to Lake Erie. If it is the case, we need to know more and have more data. Also, the weather conditions is not enough to explain the sudden increase. So the algorithm cannot predict something it has never seen. It's the basis of this AI model. That's why it must learn, and it's really called machine learning, so it makes sense. And it explains why with other periods outside of this period where there is 200% increase, the algorithm works pretty well. So to improve the algorithm and make sure that it can predict such events, we must gather more data like that, and eventually the algorithm will be more efficient. So another interesting result based on our analysis is the photosynthetic activity variable that we simulate for our oxygen prediction. It's very important to understand this activity to be able to anticipate the oxygen availability in the water. We really need it for our model to be accurate. So we compared the simulated photosynthetic activity variable, you can see it in red on the graph, with the chlorophyll level in green, and in fact we realized it was quite comparable. So for us it is a very good news and confirmation that our simulated variable makes sense, and the chlorophyll data gathered in this experience will really help us to better calibrate the variable based on real data. So it is very good news for us to be able to access data. And finally, we compared some data between them, and we found a small correlation of pH with chlorophyll and better correlation of salinity with chlorophyll. And this will also help us very much to adjust the HAV prediction algorithm to understand what are the conditions that really triggers a bloom. So what was the lesson learned from this experience? So of course, we have detected a good potential, and it was with only one probe at the surface. So the previous experience we made, it was with 10 probes and 2 different levels. And with only one probe, just to know if it's really possible to do something together, we succeed to have some first results. So we are very happy with that. We have faced the difficulty of a constant bloom for several weeks. So it's really more difficult to understand than when we have transitory bloom. The In-Situ probes give a good understanding of the situation, but the calibration protocol must be reinforced. especially on some parameters. Anoxia events have not been detected, so that is a surprise for us. So it's difficult to work on the HAB consequence because we know that HAB consequence is clearly anoxia, one of them. So it was a surprise, and we need to understand more about that. So probably the surface probe is not enough to understand the whole dynamic, and we will take this into consideration in the next steps of the work together. So what will be the next steps? So the algorithm developed for HAB prediction will be reinforced with more data in the future. We will do another testbed probably with more data points. It will help us to have better results. But the potential of our collaboration has been validated for HAB detection product, and we are very happy with the successful first step toward the combined solution for HAB forecast in Le Carrier, and we hope to continue to improve it with new data and new deployment, especially in summer 2023. So thank you very much, and I really apologize I'm not present here in the room to answer the question. So please ask them to Andrew or directly to me. You have my email, and Andrew can also transmit all the questions to me. I will be very happy to answer to them. Thank you very much.